I found Detroit, Columbus, and Cincinnati seemed good last week, but I think maybe Halloween was getting a lot of bookings. I don't know,
Yeah,
but you'll
yeah.
he'll be able to show me, I'm sure. So
Columbus, by the way, it's one of my favorite cities. So let's use C-Bus just for the sake of this example. Um, so if we go to Columbus, Ohio, and just search, right? We do our first, like our global.
hmm
The first thing we do is we try to notate what is being pushed in a market. And so at the very top, we see this like nice home with the good landscaping. We see a treetop suite, but we also do see what looks like to be a pretty average property in the top right. It's got whitewashed brick over the back of the kitchen there, and they've got like it looks like to be a fake fireplace that they made. They made a pop-up wall and put a
hmm
fake fireplace thing. We do see a pretty historic. That's the short north. It looks like the one that's 309 pounds. Let me actually change my currency back to U.S. since this will be done in the USA. Um, United States dollar. There we go. Okay. Now we know it's pound sterling, by the way. So we've got this kind of this old school warehouse property here, um, and so the guest favorites here though, the ones that people are booking, the ones that Airbnb is pushing. It is also really important to note that Columbus so far is a ton of guest favorite on the very first screen, right? So Columbus has a quality of operator. We have to make sure that we're aware of that because every single unit is guest favorite in Columbus on the very top, right? Good to know.
hmm
And so we see some stairs, we see some leather, we see some small houses. So there's a variety of property types, but we can still kind of look at what people like and what people are booking. Now, if we do look a little more last minute and see what Airbnb is going to push for us last minute, um, we can see kind of what's left over, but what's getting pushed. There's actually still a lot of like guest favorites that are last minute too, and that actually is a little concerning, right?
hmm
And you're probably able to tell me why that's concerning, right?
Yeah, they're not getting booked.
Yeah. So even if the best listings in Columbus are not getting booked last minute, that means that we've got a supply problem. So what we're going to do is I don't know why Rabu's not working on Safari. We're going to open up another screen and do Rabu on Google Chrome here. We're going to try to find out what's up. Um, Columbus OH. Hopefully that's right. Screen share, Chrome. Okay. So November is actually not one of their worst markets, not one of their worst months, right? There is a decent sized swing. It goes up 2.5x from 930 to 2509 is a little bit over 2.5. Okay. So we identify November is not a bad month, but it's still having a hard time. So let's go back in and take a look at what is left over versus what was available on global, right? This is another thing that we start to do if we're a little bit skeptical. So what's available right now, last minute? Um, this one seems like still has kind of like that factory loft, but it's not. It's in the short north, but it's not on the main strip. This one's south side. The wood element, the wood feature is kind of cool, but the maybe let's see. The kitchen's kind of dainty. It's at small square footage. Okay. This one, this one's just a little average, but it's got exposed brick. That's concerning, actually, because that's a cool look. The distressed wood look here. This looks like an apartment above somebody's house. Okay. That could be circumstantial. Um, Two-bedroom house, small square footage, maybe. Okay, cool. And smaller one bedroom. So there's some cookie cutter and small properties that tend to be here at the very top. Now this is concerning. This one's actually kind of pretty, right? With the cool blue and the leather. Good yard space, but it is the winter now. So the cool wallpaper, kind of a fun look. And then this leather and brick one, that also is concerning too. So we even see actually that's okay. That's not as good as I was expecting to see, but that shot's good. Okay, so Columbus, the typical stuff that we would hope to see get booked is getting crushed, right? But now also let's take a look at the price points. Um, for 4 nights, okay, this one's under 100, but it's ugly. This one's over 100, it's average. Um, and this one's ugly because of the couch, by the way. And the couch and the coffee table, you can tell that they're cheap. So if I were to try to tell you why I thought it was ugly, because some of the decor is okay. Um, This one also is kind of like a basic property. It's a little over 100. This one's cookie cutter at 100. This one's under 100, but the yard for the house probably isn't very special, and this is an upstairs apartment, like an ADU attached kind of thing. This one's just under 100, and the bed frame's cheap, so there might be a little bit of attention to quality here. But yeah, it's a little small house. People might think it's drafty. This one's under 100 and it's kind of a cookie cutter. Oh, actually, this one's more of a loft style thing too. The fact that this one's unbooked for under 100, good reviews, guest favorite, that is a bit concerning. So, um, let's do this now too. Let's take a look at the price distribution. For what's available last minute, let's grind up over 3 days. There's some stuff right here. So there's not a lot that's here, but then the availability starts to come up right around here for 3 days at over $100 a day. So like for this season right now, we take a look right here. Hopefully we should see a bunch of trash. Hopefully it's a bunch of trash. Um, well, there's two guest favorites, but yeah, this is the upstairs house one. And then trash, right? Trash. Yeah, this is the ugly furniture. This one's available for 2 nights, available similar dates. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So what I just did was I was trying to find out why do I not like what I saw, right? And now I'm investigating what is the negative. So for Columbus, it looks like last minute, if you want to get booked last minute, what is getting gobbled up is in this price bracket um, here, right? That this upper of $100 a night after all fees and cleaning fee, 110 a night after all fees and cleaning fees, we're seeing junk, right? So everything that's under 110 is getting booked. Let's bring it up to, this is going to be, yeah, I'm bringing it up to 120, okay? Because 110 was fine, right? Let's look at 120. Let's see how much better we have. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 guest favorites, 7. Okay, we have a good jump of guest favorites over $10 a night, right?
Mhm.
This one's kind of cool. I hate their duvet cover. If they fix their duvet cover, that'd probably do a lot better. Um, yeah, and some of these are like kind of like just ugly furniture, same cheap couches, stuff like that. But this loft here is kind of cool. But again, it's like an upstairs apartment, so it's an attached. So yeah, it looks like at about $110 a night last minute, you have to go below that or you won't get booked. Okay, that's something we just noticed about Columbus, right? Cool, good to know. Now let's go a little bit further into the future though, and see um, like what the rate plans are for if you wanted to get booked further in advance, right? So we noticed that stuff last minute is just getting crushed. So let's go for this week here. The stuff that's getting pushed by Airbnb is still, man, that's too darn cheap for 4 nights. That's crazy cheap for 4 nights. Okay, so there's still plenty of cheap inventory for 4 nights because people are kind of, I guess, having a hard time. There's probably a quality squeeze, right? There it looks like there's too much quality in Columbus for downtown, right? So that means if we're going to invest in Columbus right now, we wouldn't do it right now. And two, we wouldn't do this property type. So now let's go and do a different type of filter and see if there's a different type of inventory, right? So now let's go back to flexible and let's see what happens when we start to manipulate beds, okay? There's there's a decent drop from 3 beds to 4 beds. We don't know what over 1,000 means. It could be 1,100, it could be 1,300, but it drops down to 7. So even a drop from 1,000 to 7 is a pretty decent drop at 4 beds. Then down to 412, 251, 150, 89. So it looks like this drop down to 4 beds is a pretty solid one, and the drop down to 5 beds is really solid. So the number of listings that have 5 sleepable beds is down to 400 in all of Columbus. And we like that, right? So we might attack the market at the 5 bed count, okay? Now, let's take a look at top quality. We've got Superos, but not guest favorites now. That's a good sign, right? So we have non-guest favorite listings at the 5 bed count, which means quality for, oh yeah, there's tons of them that are not guest favorites now. That means quality distribution for 5 beds or better. There is a little bit of there's more opportunity. I'm not going to say that it's easy still, Um, and let's go to dates. Uh, okay, so remember, we're gonna do an absorption check. There's 411 with 5 beds global. Okay, last minute. Let's do 4 day stay here. 183. So there's a little bit over 50%. Instant book filter? Sure, why not? Okay, so there's 93 that have instant book. The rest of them don't. That could be a small advantage because Airbnb just pushed that. Did you see that?
Hmm.
Which means if we have instant book, that is an advantage that Airbnb is pushing towards. We might want to recreate that UI again for video. People need to know that. That was crazy. So they suggested a filter that's best for like I call it right fitting. Airbnb's constantly trying to find the exact right property, even outside of their typical algorithm, and that was proof of it. That was cool. Um, so with that said, we're still looking at quality here. Last minute, we're seeing prices at 700. That's still darn cheap. That's a 2 bedroom. Um, 3 bedroom for under 100. So we are still seeing like a real major rate drive down, right? $100 a night, whatever, last minute. And let's see what rates look like for this week here. 297 and over 100, 200 and change, 100 and change, 300 and change. Wow. That's kind of dumb because they've got a pool that's outdoor. I doubt that that's going to really, but the hot tub's cool. Hot tub might work. Okay, so what I've seen so far in my little bit of time playing with Columbus is they've got extremely good quality at the on the for the small units, right? The small arbitrage. There's less solid quality for properties that have 5 beds. That would be where I would try to attack the gap. Now we'd go to flexible. And we want to prove that some of these listings are making good solid money, right? This one's $200 a night. 4.99, 135 reviews. That's great. This one is $100 and change a night and 100 reviews. So we got a like a rate range here. Let's see if there's anybody else who's up higher than that. I would love to see something that's over $200 a night that also has reviews because I want to prove that properties make good money. Now we are going into November, December, so we're not going to see a lot of like really high um, rates if people are going into slow season. So this townhouse is at 100. This one's at 1,000 for 5 nights, and this one's at 1,000. So we're gonna look at both of these. Okay. This one says it's a okay townhouse. I was like, if it's marked as a tree house, that'd be crazy. Okay, so we've got a small pool. Um, the living room furniture isn't too crazy. So this one isn't competitively blowing everybody out of the water. That's good to know, right? We can even see the front with the architecture here. It's not the most crazy expensive house. It's not a new build. They've added some wallpaper and they've done some custom stuff to make the place look cute. It's good for them, right? So they've got some nice touches in the home, but it is more of an older build. It looks like that's had some remodels to it. And then this one looks like it's got a lot of charm, but it also is kind of like an older house too, or typical for Columbus. This almost looks like one of the frat houses in the short north. Um, and then, yeah, kind of an aged look. The furniture's not too crazy. Even the couch is really used. You can tell the photos there, right? But this is still one of the ones that has the most bookings. So houses with wood feature, with brick features are working. Um, there's just an oversupply of apartments with brick features, right? There's no longer the magic there. So now we can go and look at the future calendars, and we can look at their past reviews, right? So they do have like a smattering of bookings. Let's see if they've got April and May. This is a good sign, right? We can go back and look. We can go look at their peak season, and let's look at what their prices are for out here in May. Okay, actually, hold on. They are booked from here to here, I think. So for 5 nights, 1750 for 5 nights. That's 300 and change per night in May. And if I quickly look at Rabu, May is supposed to be slightly better than November, by the way, just only slightly better than November. Their best month is July, and then May, June, and October are decent months, by the way. I'm just not going to switch the share. So we get a little over 300 a night here. Let's see what they're doing in July. Let's see if they actually have made any major adjustments for July. Okay, cool. Yeah, so they're going up a little bit higher in July. Let's see if there's different prices in June as well. They're even more expensive in June, but there could be special events, college stuff, games, right? That could actually be a whole thing. But yeah, May is at 300. April, even more expensive. So yeah, April might have like special events stuff. It is a college town. Yeah, because that jumps down a lot. So, my thoughts for this then, if we could identify a month that has 5 reviews or more, we can see that they are fully booked sometimes. So we go to recency. September, okay, and then all the way to July. That's bad. That's really bad. July, June. And June. Okay, hold on. June 1, June 2, June 3, June 4. So they got 4 bookings in June, which means every single weekend they got booked in June. It looks like 1, 2, 3, and 4. May, 1, 2, 3 in May. April, 1, 2, 3, 4. They had 4 in April. Okay, cool. So what we can do is we can then try to rebuild based on some of the projections and based on their past reviews, right? We're now, this is not this is not as fun for me, like, or as confident for me, because I would like to see like near future booking activity and see how they're adjusting their rates so I can see how much bookings look like they got booked at a real price and how much are getting booked at a discount. But it looks like May and July are 2 months that we can really kind of try to like sketch out, assuming that they get a bunch of bookings. Now, the thing about May here is they've got this one for this amount of money. They've got what looks like to be a weekend booking here, something like that, right? So they got that Saturday booked.
Hmm.
And yeah, this 2 night minimum. This is really silly of them. But let's see what these rates are. Yeah, they're pretty expensive still. If we can find out their cleaning fee, which is okay, they're 1,000 for 2 nights here. They go up there. Let's see about these ones. Are they still 1,000? Wow, that's a lot of change. That's a lot of change. 928. Their price labs is going nuts. Okay. It'll be a little hard to nail down their cleaning fee, unless maybe we go mega far into the future for their slower seasons. 586 for two, 594. That's really close, right? See, this one's close to 586. 594 again. What about you? If you're 594, that'd be nice. Okay. So we can take the 586 to 594. That's an $8 difference. So let's go here. And let's go for these days. They're 513. And so their cleaning fee will be the difference, and but also minus $8. So because this is $8 higher, or $6 because there's all the extra change in there. So 680, and let's go back because I lost the number. So 674 is the number up top. 513, that's 90. 674, 13 would be 50, 61, 161. So their nightly rate's 161. So multiply 161 by 2, roughly, is 322. Let's say 323. So 90. Um, and their cleaning fee is like 190 is what it looks like.
Mm.
So since their cleaning fee is 190 now, we can go back and kind of take a look at what they're doing in July and August and stuff. So if we go and we take a look at all of their dates, let's just be kind of fun and see what their advertised rates are. Now, they're 10, 3, 2, 2 for the night, and then the monthly discount is actually just a little over 10%. Now, what we can do is we can just take this and put a raw efficiency number on it because July was their best month and they did have reviews, right? We could just take this number and just assign an efficiency number for it. Um, and May is actually got some bookings. So we can't exactly do that in May because it does have some bookings. So we'd have to go through and we take a look and go, okay, so what's your rate plus cleaning fee and stuff? And they're $13. So 190, we take that as we put this at 12, 11, 1162 for 4 nights, which puts them at like $390 per night in May for these 4 nights on average. Um,
Mm.
and we take a look at these, do the same thing. minus 190. We're looking at 570 for 3 nights. That's 190. So they're 190 on weekdays, and then their weekends. Let's just actually just isolate the weekends. Minus 190 here would be 637. Divide that by three. You're looking at 637 divided by three would be 320 almost for these 2 days. But remember, Price Labs has got them rocking all over the place. So when we look at like maybe these days here, we might see a different amount. 560, 540 something. So yeah, these are only like 260 for these days. And because it is a college town, we're going to see a bunch of different wild rate swings, right? So if I was going to try to guess what this property was going to make, looking at the fact that we can't really look at its future bookings, like near future bookings, but we're able to kind of make an assessment of July. And July is one of its best months, and they're not going to get a monthly stay, right? That's the one thing that we do know. So we can take this 10,322 and assign an efficiency to it. And they are getting a booking every weekend, probably an average of three or four, and then they may drop some of their weekday rates. So let's say that let's give them like 85%, right? For example, 85%. So at 85%, they're making like $8,700 a month, maybe $8,800 a month. So then we can go to Chrome and go look at Rabu and look at what 88 is compared to this. And 88 is like 3.5 more
Hmm.
than this. So we could take this and this times 3.5 would be kind of what they would make. So 66, 77,000 a year. So this one listing here, based on like this was a kind of a new way to do research, by the way, right? What we did, not actually, let me pull it back. The things that you will learn, these individual pieces are stuff that we do teach, like looking at past reviews to try to build out how full a calendar is.
Hmm.
70% of people leave a review. So if we see four reviews, we should expect five reservations. If we see five reviews, we should expect seven roughly. And that's why I was looking to see where they do have full months. And if we can say that they were completely full, and we can know that it was also a high demand month, we can know that they're going to be full at the rates that they want. And so we took a month that they're in control, that we think that they're full, and we found a monthly rate, which is, like 85% efficiency would be 88. If they completely nailed it, they'd make 10,000, right? But now the point here is we see this kind of older 5 bedroom, um, and we can then see where it is in the neighborhood, east side, okay? And so now around here, if we wanted to go take a look for properties and we wanted to test it, houses for rent, East Columbus, we could look for properties of a similar quality, um, and see what happens. So let's back out. We don't want to be that far east. We actually want to be right here. Okay, now we can go in and take beds and baths. We were looking at a 5. Apply. It's not a lot. 2,600 a month though. Not pretty. We want something more pretty. So let's actually go to a 4 bed because I think the kind of the look matters too a bit. That's too expensive for that property. No front of the look. That's going to be problematic. 2,200 for the. Okay, so this one is also ugly, but starts to have like. No, actually, never mind. I was hoping to be optimistic. Scratch that. Scratch that. I was hoping for progress. Now that's one thing. You cannot talk me into a property. If it's not going to work, you can't talk me into it. Um, and that's one of the key parts of. Okay, that's cool, right? This look could be workable, right? It's 4 bedroom for 1,900 a month. Okay, it's a little older. It looks like a duplex though. But this reminds me so much of Milwaukee. That's so fun. Is that a duplex? Yeah, 1472. Yeah, it is a duplex. May not be the end of the world though. And because of that duplex amount, this could be affordable, right? Now, here's what's cool. This kind of living room design with the wood and the little bit of the brick, you could definitely Buckeyes theme this property and get away with a good Buckeyes theme. Like this one is workable, right? So now what we just did though is we took a hypothetical on one property and try to assign value kind of like in a blind way, looking at its best month. We went back and we looked at proof of reviews and stuff to try to determine what it looks like it's going to make. Um, I would want more data than just this, right? Oh, this is also a duplex too. Look at that. See, there's two doors.
Hmm.
So this one, as a duplex, pound for pound, is very similar now. And we think it's going to make over $8,500 in peak. And let's actually go back to let's go back to its let's go back to Chrome. If it was going to make 8,500 in peak, and we have to cut that number down, right? We for like it's like November. Is it going to give us a dot and tell us? I would love for that UI to update. We're looking at 15. This would be 2019. 600 off of 2,500 would be a little bit less than 20, like 20% would be actually be 500. So a little bit more than 20% off. So we would expect this one in November to do just a 20% off of 85 would be, yeah, we'd be looking at like roughly 6,000, I think, is what we'd like the property to look like it's going to make. So when we go back and look at go back and look at it on Safari again, we would like to see that it's still making like 500 a night on the weekends. We would want it, but we'd also want to see the bookings. And that's November 2026. Okay. I'll say, what the hell? Okay, November. Where are we at? Okay, we want to see that they're making, so if they've got Friday, Saturday bookings on these weekends, I want to see that they're 500 a night. That's not good. It's really not good. What about the weekend that follows, though? Still not good. Yeah, they're getting their ass kicked in winter. So now what that means is we could try to say that maybe their pricing plan was off, try to assign them a mistake that they made. You know, their cleaning fee is 190, right? So they're going down below 200 bucks to get booked last like in December weekdays here. They're getting murdered. So what we want to do now, if we wanted to do this right, and we said, okay, this property will perform in its peak months, but what is surviving the winter? That would be the next thing that I'd want to look for, like as a deviation for the market. So now let's go search for some weekdays in December, okay? And let's see what Airbnb is pushing us for these weekdays in December. What is it going to give us? Hold on. No, Columbus, not nearby. Oopsies. Columbus. New dates, December. I want to see what are people searching for in December that actually gets booked. Okay. Well, we saw this one, so it's going to go to the top, right? This
Hmm.
treetop suite keeps getting pushed to the top. It's got a fire pit. Okay. Fire feature for the winter. Cool. Sauna. That's a heat feature too. It's I don't know, it's cozy. But what breaks out?
That one has a heated
Heated,
thing too, yeah.
yeah, heat features. Heated what? Make me click on it. Heated pool. The pool's heated. Yeah. Okay. That's why. Cool. Okay. So heated stuff. Um, this one's getting pushed as a cozy under $100 a night property. Um, we do not like the price problem here. It's such a problem. You know what? I really feel like people aren't putting enough hot tubs, but let's actually take a look at hot tubs now and see how those properties are holding up in the winter. Let's just start doing amenities testing. Brand new badass three-story home. Badass is a cool word to put into a title. That's brave. Let's see how badass works. It says a lot about the host too, by the way. Choosing language like that talks about the host. And this is a college town. He might be a marketing genius. We have yet to find that out. Um, he does have some good bookings end of November. He does have a booking for New Year's, but it's new. He's got one review so far, and he's got a booking in March. That's cool. So this property has got a little bit of action. Let's see what his weekend prices are for January. Oh, he wants a lot of money. God damn. That guy wants it all. But hey, that can mean a lot for the November thing right here. He wants a ton of money and he's got a big booking in November. That's good sign. Okay, so this is like a flagship property so far. He's got a Upstairs, really cool thing. Now this is like seems more custom build, but this is a beautiful game day kind of thing. And the covered hot tub is a big feature. He's got that kind of like watch the game here kind of thing. This white on white look is it's classy. I don't necessarily like it, but it could be a good deviation from the typical Buckeyes look. So maybe there's some strength in what he just did. Let's see who else is, um, punching out numbers with hot tub. This is a little bit more removed, so that won't count. In the city, hot tub here. Let's see how it's doing for future bookings. They've got a fire pit and a hot tub, and what does that tell us? They've got bookings over here. They've got this booked, which other people didn't too. Same thing the other guy had. He's got some bookings right up here. He's got something the first weekend of December. That's optimistic, and they want a lot. They still do want a lot too, so that's cool. Okay, cool. So this would still be another hour and a half of search, by the way. But we are on. I am pushing these tokens further. What I just did is I looked at a market that was ugly. Columbus had just way too much good supply. We remember we saw that right away, and we wanted to identify what's wrong with it. We did identify that in winter markets, you have to go down to a 110 a night in order to be considered for a booking. And there's a ton of guest favorites until we broke 110 a night. We noticed that there was not enough beds, like ones that had 5 beds. So 5 beds is a good place to attack the market. We found one that had good reviews, so we're able to project that their July should hit kind of close to what they want. They'd make at least 70,000, 77,000 a year. They could make up to I don't know, like they could make up to like 85, I think, if we did change the range. We then were looking for properties that could fit that thesis. We did find this one for 1900 over here. That looks like it could get done. It's also a townhome. But now the problem for winter, the same problem, the other townhome has the same problem, is it does not have a hot tub and a hot tub or heat features. So with this one, if like the only thing that would keep me from taking this property would be my ability to invest in the backyard and put a heat feature in. So I got to shop the back. Okay, it does have a backyard. Cool. And since it has a backyard, if I can make this pretty, this property with a heat feature and maybe make it like a game day friendly backyard, because you do have enough space, this could also be your parachute for the winter, right? Because it looks like hot tubs do defend your nightly rates in the winter. So if we wanted to get top end, we did learn from the townhome, whatever that we found. We found from the townhome that top end happens with bed count, and we found out from a couple of these guys that we are getting some November, December bookings, but it is restricted to heat features like hot tubs. So for Columbus, if I was going to enter Columbus, I would look for something near the short north. And so it looks like the east side so far is okay. 4 bedroom or better, and a backyard room to put in a hot tub. With that said, I can approve of this listing as safe enough to start to engage in. So I'm going to put it in the chat for you. Now that was a lot, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So that was a lot. Um, but if you, I want you to like as your homework. Then I want you to like do a few other markets like that where if you see something that's wrong, I want you to ask yourself, why is this wrong? And what we did is we tested price. Also, we tested price and we tested like what the core offering is. We're looking for ugly listings. We're looking for listings that were just charged too much money, where their stays are way too restrictive, like they have a 4-day minimum where they shouldn't, things like that. Um, I would go through I would go through our market research stuff. We should have a section called Gap Market Research that you should have access
Hmm.
to. I'd like you to go through that stuff. And if you have questions as you're learning market research techniques, you can just chat with me in the Cracking Superos Facebook group all week. Um, but you can start looking for more properties that kind of fit this mold, which is we have enough room for arbitrage. Because like what we would want to do is we want to multiply 2.7x of our rent. So 2.7x of our rent at 24,000, 2x would be 48,000. Add zero point 0.7 of 24, you're looking at like another 20,000. So 68,000 would be how much revenue we'd want to project that something makes. And the property that we did the homework on looks like it'll make 77,000 or more. So this property fits our 2.7x rent multiple, and it has the ability to improve it beyond the one that we did the research, because the one that we did the research doesn't have a hot tub.
Right.
Yeah. So you could succeed with this one property, I'm pretty sure. But I would like you, for the sake of making sure you get the best banger deal possible, I want us to keep doing some research. So I want you to do some homework, try other cities with the same approach that I just did, and um, and then I want you to just make notes in a Google sheet and say, hey, here's what I looked at, here's what I thought I saw, here's what I think is going on. We call it developing a thesis, and then we test the thesis. And so by next week, um, if you like our like if you have some like homework that you've done, we'll go over your homework. But also throughout the week too, I want you to tell me like think I'm doing this, like, but I don't know if I'm doing this right. What should I be looking at? Here's where I'm doing research. Here's the screenshot. What how do you interpret this, and what would you do next? You can hit me like 5 or 7 times throughout the week with screenshots just to make sure you're doing your research right.
Okay.
But take that link. Try to find more properties that kind of fit what we just talked about. Watch this again if you want to. And maybe you'll have a list of properties you think you like too. And then we can look at those and do research, and I'll do comps with you on the properties you think you like.
Sounds good. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I know we only have a half an hour per token. I hope this was valuable for you. And you can raise your hand too, and we can have a round two conversation later on if you want to talk again.
Sounds good.
Cool. Welcome aboard, Liam.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be great to have you. Looking forward to your success.